Hello, my name is Greg Benevent. Welcome back to yet another Website Depot podcast. As ever, I'm your host, and today I'm very lucky to be joined by Wes Schaefer, the sales whisperer. How you doing today, Wes?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm hanging in. I'm having a little bit of allergies, if in case I sound a little bit stuffy through this clear microphone, but other than that, I'm all right. Well, usually we start these things by, asking a bit about who you are and what you do. And, the Sales Whisperer is just a tremendous name. And I was wondering if you could tell us a bit about what you do there.
Man, I help people sell mo betta, make mo money, make it rain. So, yeah, I mean, I've had this since 2006. I've been in full-time sales since I got out of the Air Force in 1997. And I was turned off by a lot of the traditional old school methods of approaching sales. I see it as a profession. I see sales as something that is done collaboratively with the prospect. No strong arming, no cajoling, no tricks, no high pressure, gimmicky sales tactics. That just didn't jive with me. And so following my gut, second job out of the Air Force, within 6 months, I was unemployed. I ended up in a lawsuit with this financial company that I was with.
Oh, geez.
It took me 3 years to win it. But in the meantime, I had a baby, another one on the way. My wife has stayed home for 25 years. So I had to sell. I found myself selling mobile homes. In my first year, I was in the top 1% of a company, like 2,500 salespeople.
Oh, wow.
I made exactly $100,000, 1998 into 1999. It's like 145 grand a day. I mean, that's good money. You make $100,000 in Mobile, Alabama, when your rent is like $365 a month. That's pretty good money.
Yes.
And so they had a very good system, but I also just look people in the eye, treat them as humans, and following that system, I've made at least 100 grand ever since. And I've been in high tech. I've sold into Silicon Valley. I've sold into privately owned businesses, helping solopreneurs. And I mean, this works universally and has consistently worked since 1997.
Wow, that's incredible. That's just an amazing track record of more than 20 years with that. I was fascinated. No, seriously, because I was fascinated to hear you when you said the thing about the collaborative process. I mean, so much of what I think even, very successful people, small business owners, they tend to think of sales as, if not adversarial is not the right word, and neither is confrontational, but perhaps this like I win, you lose kind of thing. Whereas when you said it's collaborative, that if you could just explain a little bit more about that, because that's fascinating to me.
Well, it's just like when you go to your doctor, it's the diagnosis depends on you as the patient. If you're not open and honest, and sometimes people go to the doctor, even though something's bothering you, you're still embarrassed. You're shy to talk about it,
Right.
Little issues going on. And it's like, you can't get a valid prescription, an effective prescription, unless you're open and honest. So we all play things a little close to the vest, right? And so our prospects have been taught by our competition, and maybe even us in some weaker moments, they've been taught to not trust salespeople. Okay. They are, and you can test yourself, right? You walk into a store with the full intention to buy one thing, right? And you walk in and they go, "Hey, how can I help you?" "Oh, I'm just looking." Well, then you're embarrassed and you're going to wander this store. You're looking for this one little cable, right? This one little adapter that's like, tinier than a TikTok box. And you're not going to find the damn thing. You're going to waste 30 minutes looking for it, and you'll finally ask for help, right? So, because you don't trust a salesperson. And so we have to understand, it's our job in sales to meet our prospects where they are. Okay. They call it bedside manner with the doctor. It's like the doctor needs to be able to read between the lines and see that something's going on. And like, Greg, what's really happening here? Why are you really in? And did you ever watch the series House?
Absolutely. Many times. The 3 Stories episode from the first season is just an amazing hour of television. Yeah.
Well, I don't remember that one off the top of my head, but he always had to work clinic hours, right? That was kind of his punishment, with Cuddy. Right. And so he obviously hates it. He's sitting in there and he doesn't want to be there, and he can diagnose things immediately anyway. That was his knack. The guy walks in, sits down, kind of hems and haws, and he walks over, he grabs the door handle and says, "Look, let's just cut to the chase. Right? Assume I'm walking out the door," and you go, oh, hey doc, but one more thing, give me that thing, because I need to know why you're really here. And I don't have time for the riffraff. And so, like, oh, okay, there's some embarrassing thing. Right.
Right. Right.
So we need to have a better bedside manner than house, right? But
Certainly.
we have to understand that our prospects, if we're reaching out to them, even if they reach out to us and respond to an ad, but certainly if we reach out to them about an issue, they probably do not understand the severity and the ramifications of their issue. Because
Oh.
if they did, they would have already done something to address it.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Okay. Think about people every day. You read a story, you see on Facebook or whatever. I had chest pains. Oh, I had this. Man, I had a stroke. My dad had a heart attack. And now they're super serious about eating right and everything else. Okay.
Right.
So if you had called them 1 hour before, 1 week before, 1 month, 1 year, hey, Greg, and House even had an episode. He noticed something like a politician or somebody on TV, and he diagnosed the issue from watching. Like he called, no, really, you're sick. You're about to die if you don't get treated. Like, dude, you're a freak, But
Right.
and that's how we react. But then, the next day, sure enough, you had these chest pains, and so if we had X-ray vision, or I could see you on this Zoom meeting and go, oh yeah, I can see a blood clot forming in your right aorta, but we can't. But if I did that, you'd say, hey, we're going to reschedule this interview and you're going to the doctor.
Right.
Okay. But we don't. And with our prospects, I have to kind of stack the odds in my favor, right? I'm going to create this buyer persona. Maybe I work with privately owned technology businesses, 5 to 25 employees doing, at least 10 million in revenue, but under 100 million. So they're not super big. They're not super small. I have to deal with the owner or, the VP of sales. It's got to be a decision maker, so I stack the odds in my favor. So there's an old adage, like 80% of people have either had back issues or currently have back issues. Like if you just got in an elevator and just randomly looked at somebody and go, hey, how's your back? There's like a 4 in 5 chance. They go, yes. It's getting a lot better.
There's a twinge. Yes. Oh, yeah. We're coming back.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're just stacking the odds in your favor. So, I can stack the odds in my favor, make outbound calls to people that fit my demographic that I can truly help. And chances are good, better than just throwing, stuff against the wall, that I can uncover something. And then through the diagnosis, which is a lot of questioning, breathe in, breathe out. How long have you felt this way? Do you have any kind of history in your family? Are you allergic to anything? Have you eaten anything? Have you traveled outside the country? Anything going on at work, right? They ask all these questions.
Right.
And then they come to a conclusion. So I just want to stack the odds in my favor, ask the right questions, get you to trust me by the questions that I ask. Hopefully I ask a question you can't answer. Right?
Yeah.
So, a while back, I started, my shoulder was hurting. Man, I looked at everything up. I iced it, I heated it, stretched, blah, blah, blah. It got worse. Once I, sacrificed some chickens, threw some eye of newt over my left shoulder, spun around 3 times while holding a magnet in my mouth. Nothing got better.
Right.
Okay. I went to a chiropractor, right? So I sought professional help once I ran out of sources of potential, solutions on my own. Okay.
Yeah.
But if the prospect can answer everything, you're calling on behalf of Danny. How's your SEO? We rank number 1. How's your PPC? We're down to 0.00 cents per click. What's your cost per acquisition? We're $1. We're the lowest in the industry. Everybody else is 1,000. Like, well, okay, I can't help you.
Right. It sounds like you're doing good. Yeah.
Yeah, but you call them and like, how's your PPC? Well, what's PPC? How's your SEO? I don't really know what that means. I think we tried it before. We got ripped off. Oh, wow. How's business? Well, it's actually trending down. How long has that been a problem? Well, a long time. Who besides you cares? Well, everybody, and we might close our doors. Okay, well, now you might have a different problem. All right, but if you were to invest $5,000, $10,000, $50,000, turn things around, that'd be something if we prove to you. Yes, can you do that? Maybe. Would you be open to having a conversation? So you got to ask questions they can't answer. That's how you prove your competency.
Gotcha. No, that makes so much sense the way you laid that out. Yeah, I mean, earlier you'd mentioned how, you've been doing this for since, the late 90s, and obviously you've seen so much through the course of your career. One thing I tend to ask folks a lot on this is that how has it changed, during this time that we're doing this on Zoom and not down at the Website Depot office? I mean, what changes and adjustments have you seen during this time?
Um, I'm in a weird spot because I've sold remotely forever.
Mm.
Um, almost forever. Obviously, when I was selling mobile homes, that was in person. When I got into technology sales in 2000, I mean, I would fly out to meet them, but everything was done initially. I had an 18 state territory.
Oh,
So
wow.
everything was done over the phone, then email, set an appointment. I'd fly out, cover an area. When I went out on my own in 2006, I was doing in-person training. And then 2008, I got into the software space, CRMs, marketing automation tools like Infusionsoft and HubSpot.
Okay.
And so 12 years of doing that,
Mm.
13 years now, going on 13 years, I've met under 5% of my clients ever.
Oh, wow.
It was all done remotely, and I've got clients in 28 countries.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. That obviously you're not going to be flying
Okay.
around to all that. Yeah. That.
So before
Yeah.
there was Zoom, I mean, I was
Mm.
using Skype, I was using
Mhm.
Aweber, I was using
Mm.
GoToWebinar. I've tried all the different tools, and people they were fine with it.
Mm.
So this is going back well over a decade.
No, for sure. Yeah. A lot of
People were
those things you
fine.
mentioned.
And
Hmm.
so how it has changed now, because we're all in this together, right? So people, there's a little bit of what they call Zoom fatigue.
Hmm.
So I think you have to have shorter meetings.
Mm.
I think you still multimedia, multi-step, right? I'm working on a big proposal right now. So I mail the prospect my book,
Hmm.
something tangible, something physical.
For sure.
Before our meeting, I sent her a video email, okay, so she could put a face to a name. So multimedia, multi-touch, and that's always been a thing, okay? Just like dating, when you meet the woman of your dreams, you don't just, see her when you see her. You put a little love note and you stick it on her car windshield. You mail her a card, you mail her flowers, you call, you stop by, you
Hmm.
surprise her at work and take her to lunch. Multimedia, multi-step.
Right.
Okay. So, selling is very much a courtship.
Mm.
So don't rely just on Zoom. Don't rely just on an email. Okay.
Mm.
Do a phone call, mail something tangible. I play with this all the time. I had this guy on my podcast. He mailed me this pen. I think of him all the time. It's an
Ah.
excellent pen. I do all of my writing with this pen, right? He sent it to me physical.
Mhm.
And I used his coffee mug. I have two coffee mugs that I use
Okay.
regularly,
Uh-huh.
and both are from clients.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
one's a client, one's a podcast guest.
Hmm.
Uh, so I so tangible, right? So when I see them on Facebook and Twitter and whatever else, I give them a little bit more of my attention because
Right.
they went that extra mile to send
Hmm.
me a pen and a coffee mug. So make sure you're doing those things in this age of Zoom, okay? Because it's still human beings at the other end of the screen. They say, "Oh, we're all in this together. We're stronger apart." Bull crap. We're social beings as humans.
Mm.
Okay, since cavemen met and drew on walls, okay, we've
Right.
been coming together. And now
Mhm.
all of a sudden we can't. It's very odd. People are social creatures. So make sure you make them feel that connection. It's important.
That's very well said. That makes a lot of sense. And again, I mean, look at the things you mentioned: the coffee mug, the pen. Those are all very cheap, very inexpensive, easy to put together. That little gesture ended up, cementing that connection so much. Well, I know that something that I've heard of, but don't know the specifics of. I know that you worked with Danny or had some connection to Danny well back earlier in the beginning days of Website Depot. That's what he mentioned to me when he said it was time to reach out to you about the podcast. I don't know if you want to say anything
Yeah.
about that at the time we have here. Yeah.
I if memory serves me correct, it was around 2015.
Hmm.
I was actually a speaker at Entreport's Entrepalooza up in Santa Barbara, and that was it may have been the end of 15, early 16 when the conference was. And
Mm-hmm.
so they, uh, I was a partner with them, and I knew the organizer, I knew the CEO. They wanted me to come speak, but they had kind of all their topics laid out, and they already had like sales, marketing, blah, blah, blah. So they were like, we have a slot. We need to cover the topic of SEO. Can you cover that? Right. And I'm like, I'm a speaker. I'll get stuff done. And I was quite competent at SEO for myself. I didn't
Mm.
do it as a service,
Gotcha.
right? So I
Mm-hmm.
knew the fundamentals. I had grown my business primarily by word of mouth through organic reach, by putting out good content, good, clean SEO. Um, so I was like, and I already had my podcast, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
said, yes, I can give a talk on SEO. I had plenty of time to plan. So I did a search. I started in LA, and I just did a generic search of like, SEO provider, SEO marketing, or something like that. And boom, Danny was number one
Oh,
in
wow.
in LA,
Right.
right?
Right.
He wasn't number one in little bitty Cheyenne, Wyoming, right? He was number one in LA, organic.
Mm.
Okay, not the ads. Um, and so I reached out to him. I said, "Hey, man, you want to be a guest on my podcast? I'm going to interview several SEO experts. I'm doing this as part of research to give a talk. I'll give you credit. You'll be linked on the podcast. I'll credit you, of course, on the webinar with info that I use, for my talk." And he was right on board.
Mm.
So we've been friends ever since. Our families hang out. We've
Oh.
met him and his wife for dinner. He's
Mhm.
been out to Temecula with his family, and we've done other business together, helped clients together, and it's been good.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, I mean, usually the final question on the podcast is, what can someone do right now to help their business as soon as they click this tab closed? But frankly, it seems like you already covered that very well, unless there's something you want to add to it. I would just ask, is there anything else that you'd like to tell people, the customers, the clients, prospective Website Depot people? Is there anything else that you would like to add, or something that I missed here?
I mean, it sounds self-serving, but people listening to this, you should not try to do everything on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Division of labor is a real thing. The more
Mm-hmm.
tasks and activities you can delegate, and delegate effectively and affordably, of course, right? But the faster you can do that, the faster you'll grow. As long as you're hanging on to things, trying to do it all, you're going to be frustrated. You're going to struggle. SEO at its core is not hard. It is time consuming. It is detail oriented. Okay. But you're competing against people that do SEO more than at their core, right? These are dedicated people, like they're paying experts to do advanced legal stuff, but there are also some people doing some illegal stuff.
Right,
But the
right.
good legal guys will eventually beat the illegal guys because they all
Mm-hmm.
get found out,
100%.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So my own son right now, he's 22 years old, got his real estate license, and I turned him on to the assistant that I use. He needs a little simple WordPress website, and I'm like, dude, don't do it. Don't do it on your own.
Right.
Pay
Right.
this woman, few $100 maybe, little simple website. You need to go sell.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you've got to figure out what you can give away. And, like they said, old African proverb, right? They say, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
You see the Bible, right? Jesus grabbed 72, right? And he sent them out in pairs
Right.
very early on. So get somebody. The things we talk about right now, it's hard to stick with it.
Mm.
Okay.
Yes.
Growing your business. I hired my first sales coach in 2004 for $500.
Hmm.
And I remember he came to the house. I was doing real estate investing, and he was showing me how to fix and flip and whatever. And he came to the house. I handed him the check with my wife. I want to make sure she was on board, and I learned so much. Find someone. I've got sales programs, things you can download on demand. I've got an ongoing group. We meet every Monday on Zoom, right? But find someone, join a mastermind. If there isn't one, start one. If they're too expensive, but you need accountability. In the Navy, you have your swim buddy. The Air Force, you have your wingman. You need somebody looking after you and holding you accountable and pushing you. So find an expert. Find a group. Get the help you need. Stop going it alone. John Wayne. It wasn't even his real name.
Right.
Right. And everything we see in the movies, it was fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cut, do it again.
Right.
So you're trying to live up to these ideals that Hollywood puts out, and it's just not real.
Mm-hmm.
So get you some help. Plug in, if it's website and marketing, SEO, call Danny. If it's sales training, call me. Let's, plug in with someone to go very far, because this is an ongoing thing. They're going to keep evolving. So you got to keep working on yourself.
No, that's so true. I don't, and personally, I don't think that was self-serving at all. That's really something that, business people, as they're getting started, really need to know that,
Yep.
The more you put everything at risk, the more you try to keep doing it all yourself there. So that was great. Well, thank you. It was so good to have you on the thing today. Thanks for coming out or coming on or whatever the right word is here. Yeah.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Always. Well, that's it for me today. On behalf of Website Depot, my name is Greg Benevent. Take it easy. Have a good night.